Honestly, Nathan, all this information, it's a godsend. You've given me loads to work with here.
It's nothing, really.
Now, there's just one last question I'd like to ask you. It's subjective, so take your time.
Sure. Fire away.
In your opinion, who's most to blame for all the suffering in Oreokastro? NATO? The guerrillas? CSAT? The Altis Armed Forces? Or, I don't know, something else? Do you think the Major's death had any impact on the war, despite the NATO invasion being a disaster?
Maybe. Certainly the government had become frustrated with NATO and vice versa. But the others said they just didn't have the guts for it.
NATO's invasion of all
Couldn't do what needed to.
So, these leaflets, they were a warning to the town.
Yeah, they confirmed the offensive. Or maybe they were just sick of all the extra paperwork. These leaflets, they were dropped maybe a day before the fighting began.
Do you happen to remember it well? The airstrike, I mean.
Yeah. October 13th. Cluster bomb. Town was shook up pretty bad. The army just wasn't able to capture the place. And Colonel Arcanteros, he did not tolerate failure. They scattered the mines and sat tight, waiting for the enemy. Facing those kind of odds, it was the only thing they could do.
You've seen things from both sides. I mean, now as an NGO, too.
I've seen a few things, heard stories. You gotta remember it was pretty chaotic back then. All those competing factions, people just disappeared in that kind of chaos.
I'd have to say, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think it's quite so black and white. It's more black and gray. Hell, gray and gray, you know? No one side can be held accountable for the bloodshed here. No one action got us where we are now. I don't know. What can we do? Just double down on our efforts. Heal the wounds. And the folks here in Oreokastro, they're the ones that have suffered. This is the reality. This is war.
I still live with the statistic, Kate. That's your fault.
Okay. I'm using the mind as a metaphor now? Buried and forgotten thoughts?
Sounds legit. I kept that sentence on the scars, though. Sounds too anatomical. Show, don't tell, remember?
Right. And here, US Marine Corps, not USMC?
Marine Corps. And our angle?
Last paragraph. I moved it down a bit. Figured you'd want to conclude on that.
No sword of Damocles, please. Remember, we're creating a space, defining the boundaries. Let our readers fill the gaps. Perfect. Think about the pull quotes. I'll be back in 10. Got to tell Bartleby his story's spiked.
Thanks, Guy. Hey, Nathan. I have a link for you. It's to my article. Be gentle. It's a draft. My editor's running it by legal as we speak.
Oh, right, yeah, the mines. I've still got work to do here.
Of course. Okay, well, thanks again for everything. Should I let you get on, or...?
I don't mind talking. Maybe I can tell you a bit more about the town. Something that doesn't get mentioned too much? IDAP and other NGOs oversee communications between POWs and their families.
Really? In what way?
Snail mail, actually. We do our best to ensure any letter written by a prisoner arrives at its destination safely. Although, depending on who's running the detention centers, that can be easier said than done. I'm just catching a little downtime at the castle. Great views up here, you know?
No problem. Maybe you've got time to chat.
Sure, welcome break, actually.
Do you know who built it?
The castle? Not exactly. Thing was built sometime around the end of the 9th century. Arabian warlords. But I mean, they only occupied a much older site. It was a Phoenician fortress before that. You know, during the first of the Punic Wars, the Romans laid siege to it 6 long years.
That's some time. Did they capture it?
In a way. The defenders wound up ceding it to Rome, some later treaty. And then, well, it gets even more complicated.
I must say you're quite the historian, Nathan.
Who, me? No, I'm just a parrot. My wife, she sends me all these books, teaches history back home. A professor, actually. Kate, you remember that helo? The one Lieutenant Dimitriou told me about? The one shot down?
You found it?
Yeah, kinda hard to miss. Makes me think, though, NATO's invasion of Altus? I don't know how they got it so wrong.
Bad planning?
Could be. Hell, it's not like the Army had much fight left in them, so what else? It's just a shame incompetence isn't a war crime. It'd give you much more to work with.
Mac, got a quick update for you.
Listen, bud.
Yeah, so NATO have bagged and tagged their dead.
Jesus, Andy, anyone ever mention you got a way with words?
Not really. Anywho, it's a half-assed job. Still a bunch of landmines around. Worth checking out?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. I'll head up there shortly. See what I can do. You know, Adams, he had a couple of guys on his team. One was a real comedian, Private Nelson. You probably heard about that, episode with the goat.
Who didn't?
You know, after NATO lost its mandate, the guys used to joke that, he was the one responsible for it. I mean, it was the final straw, right? And goats are sacred animals here. Just don't quote me on that.
I often read articles about war and video games, the digital battlefield and such. What's your view?
My view? Usually flat on my belly. Few inches away from high explosives. I'm just messing with you, Kate. That's the reality these days. In many ways, it's become so, I don't know, sanitized. A few pixels on a screen, a drone in the air, and a guy sitting somewhere on the other side of the world, ready to click a button. The local priest here, Father Georgiopoulos, he was moving to an Orthodox mission in the Pacific, one of the Horizon Islands.
Did he ever make it?
Yeah, eventually. Tough guy, though. Decided to stay till all the fighting had ended. Said it was his place. Disaster, though, seemed to follow him everywhere.
The tsunami.
Right. Last I heard, he's been helping out with relief efforts.
You know, I keep on hearing about the guerrillas, the problems they posed, but it's not quite clear. Are they a sizable force?
Nobody knows. And to be honest, I don't think they do either. It's uneven, inconsistent across the country. I mean, they got cells operating across Altus, Stratus too, but in terms of actual numbers, it's hard to say. Remember the government's drive on renewables?
Oh, I suppose so, yes. Wind and solar power, wasn't it?
Anything that qualified for an EU grant, really. Anyway, during the offensive, the siege of the town, the army pulled the plug.
They cut the power.
Yeah, wrecked some brand new turbines.
Really? And now? Are they repaired?
Yeah, almost. We're still off the grid. Kinda slows things down. Our guys here, they didn't get much rest. Always on the go, 24/7.
Sounds like quite a logistics operation.
Sure, but it was about medical aid, too. Our doctor, he bore the brunt of it.
How so?
Our ambulance. Only a handful of IDAP camps had one. Poor guy had to cover a lot of ground. This town, it's no stranger to war.
You mean from the times of the military coup?
Of course, but no, I mean even historically. Whole generation lost their lives in WW2, Operation Torch, the Allied landings.
Ah, in North Africa.
Yeah, the British, they conscripted hundreds of Alshans from across the island. Most of them never made it back. Folks here, they'd seen some pretty bad stuff during the Civil War. People lost loved ones. It was like a black cloud hanging over everyone. Being in this place back then, you just knew things weren't going to end well. Do you know Mark Cole, Kate?
Our foreign correspondent, yes, of course.
I met him out here just before the ceasefire failed.
That sounds about right. Mark's been toing and froing since the coup back in 26. In your experience, do landmines pose a threat to wildlife?
Yes and no. Dogs, goats, sheep, anything like that, for the most part, they're too light. Bigger livestock, though, say cattle, yeah, they'd have a real bad day. For a farmer here, losing an animal like that, it's a big loss. Sadly, that can mean they try to deal with these things directly. And people? Of course, they're just the right size to trigger an AP mine. That's why our education programs are vital. I don't know if it's helpful, but, I remember hearing about a bunch of NATO guys that wound up working with the guerrillas.
Really? Wait, you mean during the Altis invasion?
No, that's the thing. Beforehand. Rumor has it they escaped Stratus, made it over here, and joined up with the locals.
Thanks, yeah. I'll definitely do some digging.
God damn it, Marcos. Kate, hi, just got a positive ID on our guy at the church.
Then it's confirmed. It's definitely him.
Yeah, it's Marcos. No doubt about it. Hey, Kate, I'm really sorry, but you know something? I'm not sure there's a whole lot more I can tell you. I don't want to ramble on.
No problem, and don't apologize. What you've given me here is fantastic. All those little details really add up.
Andy, you there?
What? Yeah, I'm not sleeping. What? What's up? We done here?
Yeah, I'll meet you by the van in 5.
All right, Mac. I'll get us packed up.
Only if it's not too much effort, Sleeping Beauty. Hey, it's me.
Hello. Did I hear correctly? You're on the move?
Yeah, next job. Some truck hit an AT mine yesterday. Little ways out from here, I said we'd check up on it.
Okay. I'll not keep you. Thanks again. And good luck out there, Nathan. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye, Kate.